Everybody just jumped back. They couldn't believe it.
Oh, I don't believe it. What is it?
Many people loved watching a TV show called Little House on the Prairie back in the 1970 and 80. The show was about a family living on a farm long ago. Karen Grassle played the mom in the family. She was called Ma, and everyone thought she was wonderful. For many years, Karen never told anyone what really happened when they were making the show. But now she is 82 years old, and she finally decided to tell her story. Karen played Caroline, the mom who was always kind and patient. People watching the show thought she was perfect. But making the show was not easy for Karen. The man who played her husband was named Michael Landon. He was not just an actor on the show, he was also the boss of everything. He decided what happened in the stories, who got paid how much money, and how the show was made. At first, everything seemed okay. Michael was funny and seemed nice. But as the show became more popular, things started to change. Karen was doing a great job and people loved watching her. But she was not getting paid as much money as she should have been getting. The men on the show were getting paid much more money than she was, even though she was just as important. When Karen asked for more money, Michael did not like it. He did not yell at her or fire her, but he did something else that was mean. He started changing the stories so that Karen's character had less to do. The mom character used to have important things to say and do, but slowly Michael made her part smaller. It was his way of punishing Karen for asking for more money. This made Karen feel very sad and scared. She had worked very hard to get this job, and it was the best job she had ever had. She did not want to lose it. Back then, if a woman complained about how she was being treated, people would say she was being difficult, and she might not get other jobs. So Karen decided to stay quiet and keep working. But Michael did not stop there. He started making jokes about Karen that were not funny. They were mean and made her feel bad. Sometimes when they were filming scenes where they had to act like a married couple, Michael would say things that embarrassed Karen in front of all the other people working on the show. He would make comments about how she looked or acted, and other people would laugh. But Karen did not think it was funny. Karen felt very alone and hurt. Every day she had to come to work and pretend everything was okay. She had to smile and act happy even when she felt terrible inside. She knew that if she complained, people would blame her instead of Michael. Michael was very famous and popular, and most people thought he was wonderful. Karen was afraid that if she told the truth, no one would believe her. For many years, Karen kept all of these feelings inside. She would go to interviews and say nice things about Michael because that was what people expected. She would pretend that making the show was fun and that everyone got along perfectly. But inside, she was carrying a heavy secret that made her feel bad about herself. The show ended, and everyone went on with their lives. Karen tried to forget about what happened and move on. But the memories did not go away. For more than 40 years, she kept the secret. She did not talk about it with reporters, she did not write about it, and she did not even tell many of her friends. Then, when Karen was 80 years old, she decided to write a book about her life. At first, she was just going to write about the good things, her childhood, her acting career, and the happy memories. But as she was writing, she realized she could not tell her whole story without talking about what really happened with Michael Landon. Writing about it was very hard for Karen. She had to remember all the times she felt scared, embarrassed, and powerless. She remembered how Michael would change her parts in the show to punish her. She remembered the mean jokes and comments. She remembered feeling like she had to choose between speaking up for herself and keeping her job. One memory that really stuck with her was about a time when she and Michael had to film a scene where they kissed. During the filming, Michael changed how he acted in a way that felt wrong and uncomfortable to Karen. She felt like he was trying to show her that she had no power and that he could do whatever he wanted. It was not about the kiss itself. It was about the message he was sending her. Karen also remembered how Michael would flirt with other women on the set, even though he was married. He would make comments about women's bodies and clothes, and because he was the boss, no one would tell him to stop. Karen saw all of this happening and felt even worse about staying quiet. When Karen was writing her book, something unexpected happened. She heard that Michael Landon was very sick with cancer and was going to die. Even though he had been mean to her, Karen felt sad. They had worked together for many years, and despite everything, they had created something that made many people happy. Karen decided to write Michael a letter. She did not write it to be mean or to make him feel bad. Instead, she wrote to tell him that she forgave him. She thanked him for giving her the chance to be on the show and for helping her reach so many people. She told him that even though he had hurt her, she did not want to carry anger in her heart anymore. Karen sent the letter and waited. She did not know if Michael would even read it. But later, she heard from someone who knew him that Michael had read her letter and had cried. It was one of the last letters he received before he died. For Karen, this felt like the right thing to do. It did not erase what had happened, but it helped her feel more peaceful. After Michael died, Karen continued to keep quiet about what had happened. She still was not ready to tell her story. But years later, when she was writing her book, she knew she had to include the truth. She was not trying to hurt anyone or make Michael look bad. She just wanted to tell her own story honestly. When Karen's book came out, many people were shocked. They had always thought of Michael Landon as a perfect father figure from the TV show. They never imagined that he could be mean or unfair to the people he worked with. Some people were angry at Karen for telling her story. They said she was trying to hurt a dead man's reputation or that she was just looking for attention. But other people understood why Karen had finally spoken up. They realized how hard it must have been for her to keep quiet for so many years. They saw that she was not being mean or vengeful. She was just telling the truth about her own experience. After Karen's book came out, other people who had worked on the show started talking too. Some of them said they had also seen Michael be mean or unfair, but they had been too scared to say anything at the time. They talked about how Michael could be very nice one minute and very cruel the next. They said he had a bad temper and would sometimes embarrass people in front of everyone else. Even other actors from the show, like the girl who played Laura, had hinted before that Michael could be difficult to work with. But Karen was the first person to really explain what it was like and to write it down for everyone to read. Karen's story was not just about Michael Landon. It was about what it was like to be a woman working in television back in the 1970s and 1980s. Back then, men had most of the power, and women had to be very careful about speaking up. If a woman complained about being treated unfairly, people would often say she was being difficult or hard to work with, and she might not get other jobs. Many women during that time had to smile and pretend everything was okay, even when they were being treated badly. They had to choose between standing up for themselves and keeping their jobs. Karen's story helped people understand how unfair this was and how much it hurt the women who had to live through it. Karen did not write her book to get revenge or to make people hate Michael Landon. She wrote it because she wanted to tell the truth about her own life. She wanted people to understand that even when someone seems perfect on TV, they might be very different in real life. She also wanted other women to know that they are not alone if they have been treated unfairly. Now that Karen is in her 80s, she feels much better about telling her story. She does not have to pretend anymore or keep secrets. She can talk honestly about her life and her experiences. She has used her story to help other women in similar situations and to support causes that are important to her. Karen's story teaches us that it is important to treat everyone with respect, no matter who is the boss or who has more power. It shows us that staying quiet about unfair treatment can be very painful, and that sometimes it takes a long time to find the courage to speak up. It also shows us that even when someone hurts us, we can choose to forgive them and find peace in our hearts. The TV show Little House on the Prairie is still loved by many people today. Karen's story does not change the fact that the show brought joy to millions of families. But it does help us understand that making the show was not always as happy and peaceful as it looked on screen. It reminds us that the people we see on TV are real people with real feelings, and they deserve to be treated with kindness and respect. Karen Grassle spent most of her life keeping quiet about what happened to her. But at 82 years old, she finally found the strength to tell her truth. Her story is important because it helps us understand how things used to be and how we can make things better for everyone in the future.